Hello everybody, this is Cheri at djsundry.blogspot.com, and today we're going to make a fun fall thank you card, or it could even be a note of encouragement the way it's going to turn out. So let's just plunge right in, and I'm going to show you the products that I'm using to start with because there are some really great things. I have chosen the Pathfinding paper pack from Close to My Heart, and I have to tell you that probably as far as the pattern papers, there's probably only one that if I were buying individual paper that I would have ever bought. But as I've seen this pack and I've worked with this pack, I'm so glad that Close to My Heart puts things together that I wouldn't normally put together, because I love this package of paper. And so if you buy the Pathfinding paper pack, you will get 2 each of 3 different pattern papers. Now I'm going to just flip this over so that you can see one of them. Because I've already cut into some of these, so I don't have full sheets. Now I know that on camera this looks incredibly dizzying busy, but it is gorgeous paper, and it's got beautiful colors in here. And for instance, one color that I never really would have put with the fall colors is this blue or glacier, but it's gorgeous. And so on the top of it, you see that this paper strip has a brown chevron. The other side, this side is really pretty, and I probably maybe would have picked this one up, like if I saw it at Michael's or Joann's. Maybe, just depends on if I had something in mind, but this is really pretty with the glacier, and then it's got some chocolate design into it as well. Then this one is a leaf pattern, and if you look at this too long, and I'm sure on camera it's even more, it's a brown leaf pattern, and it can be dizzying, but it is absolutely gorgeous, and the leaf pattern almost makes a herringbone. And then the strip on the top of that are these hearts. The other side of it are just simple leaves, just different leaves. The color choices that go with this paper packet are Autumn Terracotta, Barn Red, Champagne, Chocolate, Colonial White, Glacier, Gold Rush, Lagoon, and Olive. All of them would coordinate with this packet. And then this is the third piece of pattern paper, which is just almost a leafy, and it's not quite tone on tone, but kind of almost tone on tone. And the strip on the top of it has fall sayings on it. It says crisp, crunchy leaves, cool fall air, rake then jump, blustery trees, fall into autumn. So really super fun. And the other side, super busy but gorgeous, and would work really well for your fall cards. So let's put that aside. Now it also comes with solid paper, as all of our paper packs do. So we've got this really pretty piece of olive, and we've got a piece of olive terracotta, and a piece of chocolate. Looks like another piece of chocolate, and then a couple pieces that I'm going to assume are champagne. And then we have also then one more of each of the paper packs. So that's the paper pack. Beautiful, beautiful. And I put it together with actual card bases from, let me just set this aside. I'm going to be using a Colonial White card base, okay? So let me show you the stamp packs that I'm going to use in some of the embellishment. Now it seems like I'm using a lot of stamps here, and I kind of am, but I really wanted to combine and make something really fun. So the first stamp set that I'm using is actually from this, it's Sweet and Lovely from the Art Booking Bundle. And the one that I use, and I've already put it away because this part is already stamped, but I used this heart in here, and the heart has different flowers and leaves in it, and I thought, boy, if I did that heart in terracotta, it would be gorgeous. So I started with that. Excuse me. And then the next set is one of our fall sets, and this is a B-size stamp set, and it's called Thankful Heart Holiday, and I really like this, and that's why I bought it. It says a thankful heart, and then this little banner says I'm thankful for, then this big one says Happy Thanksgiving, and then it's got leaves, and let's see if I can put something so you can actually see it. Maybe that's a little bit better. Then it's got leaves and a pumpkin, and I'll come back to the one I'm using. And then the last one, even though this is definitely not a fall set, but it's such a versatile set. This set is actually one that you may have seen me use before. I can't remember if I've used it on camera or not, but this one is from Have a Happy Day, and it's a D-size stamp set and it's from the Everyday Life. And I really like these kind of abstract flowers in it. I made some really pretty things with this little funny looking flower, but the one that I'm using today is this solid banner. The embellishments that I'm going to be using are the sequin assortment in gold and this bronze shimmer tape, which is so pretty. And then I'm also going to be using some foam tape. Now I don't have Close to My Heart foam tape, but I'll put a link on the blog to all of these things, plus to the foam tape from Close to My Heart. I'm using 3 inks, Autumn Terracotta, Chocolate, and Olive. Now I know it seems like I've got a ton of stuff here, but this card really is not all that difficult. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just start by pulling my papers out and setting them aside. And we're going to start with our card base. So I have taken a piece, well, to start with, I took the Autumn Terracotta and I stamped my image just on a piece of scrap paper that I had of the same as the Colonial White, and I stamped that in Autumn Terracotta, and that's where I used that stamp set. Now unfortunately you can't just buy this stamp set, it's part of the art booking Cricut bundle, but if you have a Cricut and you love art booking, this is a, I mean, if you love to scrapbook, the art booking cartridge is a great cartridge, and I actually recently used it even to make a card, so it's pretty versatile. So what I've done is I've just taken and I've inked around the edge because I thought it was just too white. And I've already put foam tape on the back. And so that's all I'm doing with the Autumn Terracotta for right now. And so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with my piece of pattern paper. Now as much as I like this side, I wanted to use this really fun olive color side. So what I did is I cut this one at 5.5 inches wide by 2 inches tall, so it will completely cover the bottom of my card base, and I'm going to bring that all the way down to the bottom of the card. And I'm lining up one side because it looks like I cut it just a little bit off, and by lining it all to one side, then I'll just have to trim up one side of it. So then the next thing that I did is I took this busy herringbone, and you might be saying, wow, that's too busy together, but you'll see it all works. And then on the other side is the leaf, but I want this leaf that makes it look like a herringbone, and I cut this at 3/4 inches wide by the full 5.5, so that is going to border the top of my card. Now I had already cut, I actually made 5 of, this is the 5th one I've made, and they're all a little bit different from each other, but I probably could have cut a little bit less of this paper and saved myself some paper, but I didn't discover how it was all going to play out until I had already cut all the paper. So there we have that one. Now this is where the bronze tape comes in. Now this tape is about 1/2 inch wide, but I only want to use half of that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull my paper trimmer out. And I saw one of the ladies at my card club do this effectively, and I thought, hey, that works. And then you can save, you can use half the amount of your trim, and it helps you stretch your trim a little bit. So what I'm going to do is line up, just kind of eyeball it. I don't care if it's perfect, but what I do is I eyeball it in the middle, and the reason I put that tape on is because it's too easy for it to slip and slide. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to actually just run my trimmer right across, and it looks like I had a little glitch in my trimmer, but I think it's going to be okay. And then it won't matter on the tape itself if there's that little bit of adhesive and it came up with the tape. You just want to be sure you pull it, make sure it's not on your paper trimmer, because it might mess up paper later. So now I have a 1/4 inch sheet. Now this particular piece had a little bit of a flaw in it, which is the first time I've ever seen that. So I'm going to actually use this side. And I noticed that as I was putting it down. So we're going to use the side without the flaw. And this is always probably the most difficult part for me, because one thing is I have very short fingernails. Is peeling off the back, but this is adhesive tape. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to line this up right across the very bottom edge of the herringbone. And the reason I'm doing that is that provides just enough of a break between the two patterns that it makes it seem not as busy. It just gives it that little extra pop of sparkle. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to trim off that excess that I had there, and I could pull my paper trimmer and do that if I wanted to, but it's just as easy to do it with scissors because you have a guide. And there, already this card is pretty, but now we're going to have fun stamping it. Now what you will not see is off to the side of the camera I have a piece of scratch paper, and I am using that because we're going to do a technique called masking off. So I want to grab my pad, my extra pad here. I'm going to put it under my card because otherwise I'll forget to use it. And then I'm going to pull my autumn ink. But I didn't want to use the first stamp because if I use the first stamp, it's going to be too dark and then you'll have a hard time reading the letters. So I'm going to ink up my stamp really well, just like you always would. And I noticed before that sometimes not only do I have a piece of scratch paper over there, but I also have another one of these foamy pads, so I'll get a clear image. Because with an ink this color, well, with any ink really, but especially with this ink, it's really easy if I get off to get half of it stamped and leave half of it behind, and that'll mess up my image. So what I've done is I just stamped it off to the side, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to line it up in the middle and then press it down and come up, and now I have a lighter image, and that's what's known as stamping off. Very simple technique, and it gives you a little bit more versatility. Whereas, let's see, let me grab a piece of paper here. Let's see the contrast of how dark that would be. And I did not ink that well, and I didn't stamp it well, but you can see the difference in how dark one is. And while this is gorgeous, it's a little bit too dark for the project that I'm doing right now. So we've pulled that aside, put that ink aside, and now we're going to stamp our sentiment, which is a thankful heart. And to do that, I'm using chocolate ink. Come around, and we're going to just ink up our stamp. And I really, really like how clean this image stamps. It's just a beautiful image, a very clean sentiment. And I'll show you what I mean by that in just a second. See how crisp that stamped into that. Now, honestly, these stamp sets were not designed to go together, and the sentiment just barely fits inside of the border, but I think it's a nice fit and I really like it. So now we're ready to finish up our card by doing our embellishing. So that's all in the center, and that's where I thought that it would be perfect for this heart. Now, I've got a little bit too much foam there, so I need to trim that off. This heart was definitely not a fall heart, but by changing up the ink, you can make it be red for Valentine's or terracotta, autumn terracotta for fall. So that's what I chose to do, and this ties in beautifully with all of the colors. And I'm just going to put it off to the side, and what it does is it makes the little tiny dots in the pattern paper, just really, it ties them all together. So now to finish them off, I'm just going to take a couple of my sequins, and I don't know where I put my pick, so I'm just going to grab this Crafters. This is what I use when I'm using different kinds of putties or different things. And I'm just going to put that one there. And the reason I'm doing this is because I want to pull the eye into the sentiment so that everything centers back into the sentiment. And there we have our card, a thankful heart. So it was pretty simple, took a few supplies, but very simple and very pretty, and I think that the recipients are really going to like it. So thanks so much for stopping by today, and remember, take some time to enjoy the little things. Have a great day. Bye.